they were just about to start, and Jimmy said, "Can I talk to you, buddy?" I said, "Of course." So we went back, and he said he was very broken up about it. He didn't want this, but he said, "I don't know what to do." And I said, "You think I shouldn't do the show?" He said, "It's just I have so much pressure from people, He goes, "People are crying." I said, "People are crying? People are crying?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "Like, senior producers are crying." I was like, "Good Lord." I go, "Well, bring them in and let me talk to them. I don't want to make people cry, Right. I didn't even know I had the capacity to make people cry, to tell you the truth. Right. So I felt so bad from that comment. And then, so Jimmy said, come back whenever you want, but I think it'll hurt the show tonight. And I said, "Well, Jimmy, I don't want to hurt your show. That's the last thing I want to do is hurt your show."
He said, Jimmy Fallon came up to him in the dressing room and said, "People were crying." And he goes, "People are crying. Oh my God."
People are pussies.
Well, and that's why Norm
people
was
are
like,
fucking pussies. We don't need to accommodate you because you're pussy and you're crying.
Well, we have, it's like emergency fire departments. Now there's emergency torch departments. Something happens. People, they run out with a flaming torch. Let's get them out and go.
So he was literally at the show in the green room.
Because Jimmy went back to talk to him, Jimmy Fallon, and said, "What do we do about this, buddy?" This was the article that just came out.
The other thing I never figure out with all this stuff is Norm Macdonald comes on, does his sit down bit, makes everyone laugh, and then leaves. Is there anyone in the audience with their arms folded going, "Well, I can't enjoy this" after reading that article he did several weeks ago? Or is there who would even know? Did you guys know?
No. And that was the other thing in the article. It said, and I'm sorry I don't have it in front of me, but one of the producers, I believe, suggested that Norm open the show with an apology. And Norm goes, "It's not my show. What do you mean I opened the show with an apology?" So they were just trying to figure this out, and then they just canceled it.
Well, he's now my least favorite Jimmy.
I tell you, if there was just a...
now.
Remember now? I don't think I said now.
You did, actually.
I don't think I said. Check the tape. Check the tape.
Remember, the old instinct would have been like, "Hey, let's lead your segment with this. We'll handle this in a funny way, but you can still get in whatever you need to say if you want to say it. Then you do several jokes, and we get the hell out of here. We'll go for a nightcap."
Well, and that's what they said. They said, "Do we open with this, once you're sitting down?" And he said, "Well, that kind of ruins the mood of the jokes. Why don't we address it at the end?" And they said it was just too much of a thing.
Listen, I'm sorry. Fallon is a pussy because Fallon ultimately is in charge.
I just had the thought, "Oh, wow, Jimmy Fallon took the pussy way out."
He is a pussy because I've been around, Jeff's been around. Ultimately, when the guy with his name on the show says, "Hey, here's what I want to do. I really feel like this is what we're going to do." You can kind of override anyone. It's probably a little less back than it was with, back in Letterman and Johnny Carson and all that kind of stuff. But you can just go, I'll handle this. We can do this. Yeah. I'm not going to walk down the hall and tell this guy who's been in the business 10 years longer than me that he can't come on and crack wise because he was actually truthful when somebody baited him into a question, probably, for the Los Angeles Times. So he's a pussy. Whoever was crying should just be fucking shit-canned. You want to know about people who need to be shit-canned? You want that person on your crew? And by the way, no one was crying. And if they were crying, they're unstable. Yeah. There's something wrong with that.
Your appearance on Jimmy Fallon was canceled, and he said that his staffers were actually crying about the comments that you made. Were you surprised at that reaction?
And have you been surprised that you were there? They were crying that he was there.
That you were even there. Have you been surprised by this reaction?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, I have been surprised because, I never did anything. I mean, I spoke, but I don't want to be tossed in with people that actually did not crimes but sins, or I barely have consensual sex.
Oh, they all have consent. It's all consensual when Mr. Happy comes
It's how
out.
you
It's all
find it.
consensual.